Iran condemns American intervention in Syria's internal affairs, describing American statements regarding the upcoming presidential elections in Syria as hollow and impudent. The Syrian Arab army takes control of Hsaytat al-Turkman in Damascus suburbs, eliminating the last terrorist gatherings there. In Lebanon, a person is killed and 8 others injured in renewed clashes in Tripoli. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Irado Krikorian with the news in English. President Bashar al-Assad today referred to the People's Assembly the state's general budget's draft law for fiscal year 2014 to be debated at the Assembly. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said Russian-American cooperation and contacts regarding the crisis in Syria may give the impression that the task is quite difficult, yet it is completely implementable. Addressing a celebration held on the occasion of the 70th anniversary of the Moscow Conference of the former Soviet Union, American and British foreign ministers, Lavrov said it was the USA that had suggested more than once to work in order to prevent directly and indirectly the organizations that are under the influence of both countries from carrying out any measures that may undermine the security of another state or work to change the political regime in such a state. He called on those who try to intervene in other countries not to ignore this. Iranian Shura Council's Speaker Ali Larijani has strongly condemned American intervention in Syria's internal affairs and American officials' statements regarding the upcoming presidential elections in Syria, describing them as hollow and impudent. In his word at the beginning of the Iranian Shura Council's session, Larijani said, Iran has often asserted its stand in rejection of a military solution to the crisis in Syria and the need for a national dialogue in the country. He added that Iran welcomed its participation in the Geneva II conference. Larijani said the USA and some regional states that took part in Geneva I should answer the question why they headed towards a military solution in Syria and the perpetration of massacres there. Larijani said certain sides wanted to overthrow the Syrian state of resistance that had faced up to the Zionist entity, even if this meant war, so they have been set on sending weapons and funds to the terrorists in Syria. However, they have failed after 2.5 years of igniting the conflict there and started to realize what kind of a dreadful swamp they had fallen into and what would become of the heavily armed terrorists there, so they have moved now to making statements about Geneva II. The Syrian Arab army targeted terrorist gatherings east of Saydnaya, west of Qara, east of Al-Ruhayba, south of Adra and north of An-Nabik, and eliminated dozens of them and destroyed their vehicles. The Syrian Arab army assumed full control on Hsaytat al-Turkman and killed dozens of terrorists there. During their pursuit of terrorist groups in Barza neighborhood, Syrian Arab army units have seized a 110 meters long and 5 meters deep tunnel equipped with electricity. An official source said the tunnel was under Tishreen hospital, stretching from an ancient house till the western side of the Syrian education channel on the other side of the road. It was used by terrorists for movement and the transfer and storage of weapons. It is to be noted that another tunnel that was 300 meters long and 10 meters deep also equipped with electricity, was found a few days ago on the Damascus-Homs highway connecting Harasta with Al-Qabun and Barzeh farms. It had been used by terrorists for movement and the transfer and storage of weapons and ammunition. Other Syrian Arab army units have been able to eliminate armed terrorist groups during intensive and successful operations carried out against their hideouts and gatherings in Damascus suburbs, destroying an ammunition warehouse and missiles launching bases. In Daraa countryside, Syrian Arab army units destroyed several tunnels used by the terrorists and killed dozens of gunmen during operations in several villages and areas. A military source said that Syrian Arab army units destroyed tunnels extending between the sport club and Abu Khasiba building towards Assad Road. The source added that a big number of terrorists was killed and wounded in different areas in Daraa. The source pointed out that the Syrian Arab army eliminated an armed group which was trying to attack a military point near Tafas, as other army units clashed with terrorists in 7 villages, inflicting heavy losses upon them. The Syrian Arab army destroyed cars loaded with weapons and ammunition, as 12 terrorists were killed and others wounded following the explosion of a car bomb at the entrance of Nimr village in Daraa western countryside. In Homs, 1 citizen was killed and 43 others were wounded, including women and children, following the explosion of a car bomb in Al-Ahram street near Al-Nazha crossing. Meanwhile, the Syrian Arab army attacked a terrorist gang which broke into the towns of Sadad and Mohain, killing and wounding several of them. The army also foiled, in cooperation with local residents, an infiltration attempt into Arak village, killing and wounding scores of them, in addition to destroying their weapons and ammunition. The Syrian Arab army also inflicted heavy losses on terrorist gatherings in Bab Houd and Al-Qusur neighborhoods and the villages of Ad-Dar al-Kabira and Al-Khalidiyya, destroying a car loaded with weapons and ammunition. In Aleppo, a military source stressed that Syrian Arab army units continued to chase armed terrorist groups in Al-Sfera and assumed full control in a number of buildings in Salah ad-Din neighborhood and foiled an infiltration attempt into Sulayman al-Halabi area. Iraqi joint forces under the supervision of Iraqi Minister of Defense and his Chief of Staff coordinated attacks against Al-Qaeda headquarters in Aana and Al-Fallujah in Al-Anbar Governorate, in addition to Salah ad-Din Governorate and the eastern side of Ninawa Governorate. Clashes resulted in capturing 298 terrorists, 8 of whom were trying to escape into Syria. 14 were involved in terrorist explosions in Kirkuk Governorate. The operation resulted in confiscating 8 hideouts full of weapons and ammunition, 9 booby-trapped cars, and a factory for manufacturing car bombs. In the capital Baghdad, a military unit confiscated a weapons storehouse in Al-Bayyara which contained explosive devices, explosive belts, and automatic rifles. Violence continues in Tripoli, north of Lebanon. According to Lebanese sources, Al-Mustaqbal gangs have flared up all areas in the city, particularly Jabal Muhsin at-Tabbani axis, using machine guns. The clashes resulted in killing 1 citizen and wounding 8 others, thus raising the number of the victims of Al-Mustaqbal extremists since the beginning of the new crisis in the city 4 days ago to more than 10 killed and 80 injured. According to the same source, the army has sent further military reinforcements comprising scores of armored soldiers carriers to respond to the fire sources. In Tunisia, 1 policeman has been killed and others injured during clashes with armed men after the latter attacked a police patrol near the steel factory in Bourguiba province attached to Benzert state north of the country. Meanwhile, a source at the Tunisian Interior Ministry said a group of Salafists had tried to storm into a police center in Matare in Benzert. They were intercepted by the security forces there. Moreover, 7 members of the Tunisian National Guard were killed in confrontations with an armed group in Sidi Bouzaid in the center of Tunisia. Israeli occupation troops opened machine gun fire at random on forest areas in occupied Shaba farms as an Israeli drone kept flying at a low altitude above the area. In the occupied Palestinian territories, Israeli occupation troops arrested 12 Palestinians in different parts of the West Bank. Fierce clashes erupted between Palestinian youngsters and Israeli soldiers in Abu Dis village east of occupied Jerusalem. Palestinian sources said that Israeli occupation troops broke into Qabatia town south of Jenin and ransacked Palestinian properties. Now to latest business and market news, but after a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The General Establishment of Poultry has imported the second shipment of chicken as the establishment has signed a contract to import 4 shipments of chicken in order to provide the local markets with sufficient quantities to increase the demand with lower cost. The technical workshops in the General Company's branch of mills in Homs is working to fix and rehabilitate Al Hilal mill, which became out of service as a result of the terrorist act, as the total cost is estimated at 15 million Syrian pounds. The director of the company branch has expected that the mill will resume work during the next 2 weeks. The director of Animal Health Department at the Ministry of Agriculture asserted that the ministry is committed to provide the livestock with free veterinary care, noting that the country is free from any epidemic, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO. The director also pointed out that the Directorate launched a campaign for smallpox vaccination during last month. Brent crude rose for the first time in 4 days as a measure of China's economic recovery topped forecasts, signaling increased demand in the world's second biggest oil consumer. Futures rebounded as much as 0.8% after losing 3.9% over the previous 3 days. Brent for December settlement gained 30 cents to reach $108 a barrel. U.S. stock index futures rose, signaling the Standard & Poor's 500 index will rebound from its first retreat in 6 days. European stocks also advanced as investors weighed corporate results. Japanese stocks, on the other hand, fell, with the Topix index extending its biggest slump in 3 weeks. Gold was little changed after its biggest loss in more than a week as investors weighed the outlook for the Federal Reserve's stimulus measures before a government report today that may show jobless claims decreased. Gold for December delivery was little changed to reach at $1,333 an ounce. The euro strengthened to a 2-year high against the US dollar before reports that economists said will show the region's manufacturing and service industries expanded this month, adding to signs of recovery. The US dollar is weakened against other currencies except 2 of its 16 major counterparts, as concerned that the US growth was hampered by a government shutdown earlier this month fueled bets the Federal Reserve will delay reducing stimulus. with this we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Till next Saturday, enjoy your weekend.